Recorded. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. You're welcome to this week's Forex Outlook for the 10th to 14th of June 2024 with Great White FX, brought to you by Trading Pro. Trading Pro is an international multi-award-winning registered financial service provider authorized and regulated to provide financial services to investors through its branches and subsidiaries across major cities in the world. And they are here in Nigeria, making this possible for you. Trading Pro offers a lot of interesting services like rookie accounts, micro accounts, pro and scalpex. Most of the accounts are swap free, and the rookie account has no spread, is spread free, as well as the scalpex accounts are spread free. And most all the accounts are swap free. They offer a lot of interesting services like social trading community for those who would want to learn, both for beginners and advanced traders. And they also offer palm services and copy trade services for those who would want to benefit from trading but don't have the time to learn. So with that out of the way, let's get down to what we have for the upcoming week. So we're going to start off with the economic calendar. Looking at the economic calendar for next week, it's going to be very interesting because for the first time in a long while, we're going to have CPI and FOMC on the same day. So we're going to have all of them on Wednesday next week. Tuesday, we have the pound claimant count. Thursday, we have Aussie unemployment change and unemployment rate. 1:30, we have core PPI on the US dollar. Then Friday, we have policy rate and monetary policy statement on the Japanese yen. So that's what we have going into next week. Next week, Wednesday, is going to be really, really interesting. So with that out of the way, let's get down to what we have. We're going to start off with the US 100, the dollar index, the Euro USD, GBPUSD, gold, Euro pound, pound yen, and Euro yen. So let's start off with the US 100. Starting off with the US 100, on the weekly, this pair is still clearly bullish. On the weekly, this pair is still clearly bullish as the weekly close as an engulfing candle, which points to the fact that we might still see further upside on this pair on the weekly. If we drop down to the daily is still bullish, but it doesn't have that kind of strong momentum. After this massive candle, it does not have a continuation. Still bullish, but the momentum on the daily is gradually weakening. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we have what I would call a 3-candle pattern. This is still very bullish, but the possibility exists that we might see lower prices on this pair going into next week. So how are you going to play that? You'll be watching this low, this major low here. So once we get, as long as price stays above this low at 18,901, it might continue to the upside. But should price close below it, at least on the 4-hour basis, you'd wait for a retracement and a possible move lower. So for the US 100, the possibility exists that we might see a bit of a correction next week before a continuation to the upside. So the next way we're going to be looking at is the dollar index. Looking at the dollar index from the weekly, this is still slightly bullish because we have an impulse and this is a retracement. And as we can see, if you look at the monthly, price has swept the previous month's low and is now retracing back into the range. If we move back to the daily time frame, we can see that price on the daily it's still looking slightly bearish because of the break below this area here. It's still looking slightly bearish. But as we can see this massive move on Friday, if we look at it on the weekly, that was as a result of rejection from this low here. This low here, I've been pointing out this low. that it's a range of sorts. It's a range of sorts, having had two candles within its weekly range. And also, we have this week pin bar here. If you pick this pin bar and you are to pick the range, you'll notice our price stopped at the 50% of it. Price stopped at the 50% of it and spiked. So going into the new week, if we drop down to the daily time frame, where price is within this massive bearish order block here. So if we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, the possibility exists that we might see a bit of a retracement before a continuation to the upside on the dollar index. Most probably, if that happens, the first target on it is going to be 105.10. If we get a daily close above 105.10, then we're going to see 105.45 and 105.74. But we might, because of where price is on the daily, price is on the daily within this massive bearish order block, we might see a bit of a retracement. And if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, it's evident here between this point to this point, we might see a bit of a retracement before a continuation to the upside on the dollar index. So the next one we're going to be looking at is Euro USD. Looking at the Euro USD, we're going to start off from the weekly. On the weekly, this pair is bearish. This is the impulse, and this is a retracement. So we can see now that the weekly has closed as a massive bearish, kind of like an engulfing or what you call a dark cloud pattern, which points to the fact that we might be seeing further downside correction. If we drop down to the daily, we can see where price is. Price is at this rejection box here. So, which points to the fact that we might see a bit of a retracement into this bearish fair value gap on the 4-hour before a continuation to the downside, provided price does not sweep this low on Monday. This low must be left intact so that it would serve as the draw on liquidity after the retracement to the upside. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is the GBPUSD. The GBPUSD, it's bearish for now, but it's not as weak as the euro against the dollar. So we have a massive rejection on the weekly. If we look at this on the daily, we have what looks like an engulfing candle. But if you notice, it's all within the range of this last up candle. There has been no close above the body. So which points to the fact that we might be seeing price come down to 1.2794 going into this new week. So if we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that price is within this bearish bullish order block. So we might see a bit of a retracement into this fair value gap, this bearish fair value gap between 27.81 and 27.42. A retracement rejection there will see price move lower, provided price does not go for 26.94 first. This pair for now is still slightly bearish, but if you look at it on the bigger time frame, it's in a range of sorts. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is gold. Gold dropped heavily on Friday. We're going to look at it from the weekly. If you look at it from the weekly, you see that price retraced into this structure point here. But what you need to look for is on the daily. If you look at it on the daily, there's what looks like an inverted fair value gap here. So we have this point to this point, this point to this point. And if you notice, price rallied into it and dropped. If we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, you'll be waiting for a retracement on this pair. And if that retracement should happen, the first target is going to be 27.77. Let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame. On the daily time frame, we're going to be going for 22.78 first before any of these fair value gaps down here. So for gold going into the new week, bearish, you wait for retracement, rejection, and they move lower on price. Next we're going to be looking at is the euro pound. Euro pound still seems like it's very weak, might still move lower If you look at it on the daily time frame, we have a fib retracement level from this high at 87.67 to this low at 8,500 up to this high. That fib expansion, the 61.8 is at 84.78. So the possibility exists that going into this new week, this may retrace a bit and move down into this level. So for going into the new week, we might still see weakness on the euro, and that will spread across board against the other pair. So going into this new week, this might be the first draw on liquidity, 84.83, then 84.78. The next we're going to be looking at is pound yen. Looking at the pound yen, if we look at it on the weekly, I see that it closed with a long lower wick, which points to the fact that we might see a bit of a rally to the upside. But if you look at it closely, you would notice that price has not been able to close above 200.54. So if we drop down to the daily time frame, the possibility exists that we might see price come back to this level. If it gets rejected, it's going to move lower. Looking at it on the 4-hour, we have a change in market structure here. Market structure shift. So this is just probably a retracement or a range within this high to this low for a move lower on price. So we know we have the Bank of Japan's rate news on Friday, so we'll be watching that closely. The next pair we're going to be looking at is Euro Yen. If you look at the Euro Yen, this is slightly clearer than the pound yen due to the euro weakness. So if we look at this on the weekly time frame, you can see that its lower wick is not as pronounced as that of the pound yen. If we look at it on the daily, it's still pointing to the downside. After rejection at the 50% of the broken range, that's this point to this point, we can see the rejection here. So this pair, any retracement on it that doesn't go above 170.94 might see price come for 168.02. So that settles it for this week's outlook. Do I have any questions, or is there anybody who want me to look at before we call it a night?
Good evening, Great White. Please, I have a question.
Go ahead.
USDCHF.
I want to.
Go ahead, ma.
I would like to have some clarification on.
You say? I can't hear you.
I would like to have some clarification on gold.
Well, gold, you wait for a rally. It's
okay.
heavily.
What range can we look for the rally?
Between this low on the 4-hour, between this point 23.14 to 23.86. That's where you'll be looking for it, because this is gold. This gold is wide, yes. But first, your first point is going to be here, 23.20. If this area, because this was where there was a change in state of delivery, if this area doesn't hold, then it's going to move higher. But if this area holds, it's going to move lower. Okay. Then USD CHF. But don't worry, as the week goes on, we'll keep updating during the daily review. So just make sure you have the time to attend and to watch it. It would help. Where is this USD CHF?
Change the broker on the gold. You're not using Saturn instead of Wanda.
I can't hear you.
The broker.
The broker.
You are using Sago instead of Wanda.
Yes, Wanda started doing some magic. So I needed to use Axel to be clearer. So USD CHF on the daily, this pair is still bearish. It's still bearish. But on the daily, we have a bullish engulfing from this area. This is going to rally into the coming week. It's going to be moving for this fair value gap here first. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, because it's within this fair value gap, you need to wait for a retracement into this point to this point for a continuation to the upside. But bear in mind, this pair is heavily bearish. What you are just seeing is a retracement of this leg down. That's what you need to bear in mind. That's what you need to bear in mind. So, any other question or any other pair?
Sorry, sir. Since no, you said has it not gone into bearish since it has broken that low?
Here, is it this USD CHF?
No, the one. Yes.
On the
I think,
daily,
is it not
on the daily,
reversal now since it has broken
on the
that
daily,
low?
on the daily, it's bearish. You get, after a break of a low, what do you have?
Okay.
A retracement into the
Yeah.
broken range. This is the impulse down. You're going to have a retracement. So on the daily, this is bearish. But if you look at it on the 4-hour, the 4-hour is telling you that the retracement is about to start. Breaking market structure here. So the possibility is that you might see a bit of a retracement and a move into here.
Okay.
So I believe that should be the last question. So I wish everybody a beautiful night,
Thank you very much.
lovely weekend, and a blessed trading week ahead. Thank you all.
Amen.